Welcome back. Right on time, as always. The prompt head coach of the Oregon Ducks, Dan Lanning, as the Ducks get set to take on Wisconsin Saturday. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, my God. Never better. What's worse, your weekly press gatherings or phoners with chuckleheads like us?
Oh, man, this isn't bad. This is all good.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. Well, we kind of worried that you might hate this kind of stuff.
Well, no, it's not bad.
Well, okay, let me ask you a more broad question. How do you view media within the landscape of what you do?
Well, I think it gives an opportunity to create a little bit of a vision for our program for recruits, right, which is something you always want to be able to take advantage of. And, just shed the best light on your program as well. So I think it can be a tool if you know how to use it the right way.
Was that one of the biggest adjustments going from being a coordinator to a head coach is all that other non-football stuff that you had to deal with?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I'd say that's a piece that's different.
I know that I find it just crazy that, you're in the throes of a season. You're trying to win the Big Ten. You're trying to get to the college football playoff, and now all of a sudden they're throwing all these recruiting. The recruiting ramps up to a signing day. What changes would you like to see with regards to dates on recruiting and the portal, et cetera, to make it easier on coaches?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to picture how you can do it the right way and still, make everyone happy. I've always felt like the football season should end January 1st regardless. Like, I feel like the national championship game should be January 1st, and it would be awesome if recruiting started. It never is going to just start. You do it all the time, but it would be great if the signing windows were after that. Well, it used to be, right? It used to be in February. That's when the signing day was. Well, now it's become newer and newer in college football, and certainly we're a team that's trying to take advantage of it, where you sign high school players in mid-year, right, in December. And that allows you, to get guys here then. Well, that moved the signing day up. So I don't know if there's a great answer of when that could occur. I mean, some people are making a push for that to happen in the summer, and I think that's too early. For guys to be able to see how the seasons play out, when coaching changes happen, all those things that happen within seasons. I think, signing in the summer doesn't really give you the opportunity to see that. For us as coaches, you want to watch how players develop their senior year. So there isn't a great answer to make it right, but it is what it is. You just got to deal with it.
Yeah, but if you push it back, I think what you're saying is if you just push it back a month, that saves you a lot of.
Yeah, but then it would certainly make your job easier, but then that would eliminate the guys that you want to sign mid-year that could come join your program. A lot of guys now in high school are graduating, after the first semester of their senior year, right? So, that doesn't really. You'd still want to sign those guys mid-year. So, like I said, I don't know if there is a great answer just based on the way the windows have been created already. Yeah, unless the season moved up earlier.
Yeah, it's weird now too. You see, like, and I don't think you've necessarily dealt with this one. Maybe you have, not that I know off the top of my head, but it's like, you see where a coach can make an in-season move now, and the kid's like, well, okay, well, I'm entering the transfer portal. I think it was Lane Kiffin that said we essentially have free agency, and I know he can't play that same year, but he brought up the fact that we kind of have free agency in the middle of the season, and that is just such a bizarre thing to think about in the context of any sport.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Definitely different. I mean, to have free agency more than one time a year, multiple times a year, is really kind of what happens. And you hope that your culture, overcomes that, and you have players that, understand the process and what that's going to look like. But every person's, different. Every individual's different. So you always have to do a great job of painting a vision for what it looks like if they continue to stay here and build in this program. But then on the same note, take advantage of the opportunities that exist out there when guys do enter the portal and other programs.
Yeah. Is that something that you do when you sit down with exit interviews, or you do it in the season with like check-ins? Is that something that you have to do individually, is sit down with a kid? I remember exit interviews, and it was always like, hey, this is what we're doing next year. But do you have to think now, like you said, kind of longer term when you talk to kids in your own program?
I think you hope that conversations like that are happening all the time with the players in your program, and they have a good feel for where they're at and where they can improve. I don't think that can be something that just happens once at the end of the season or once in May. It's about having, great relationships throughout the season and throughout the year of what that looks like. And it takes a level of trust too, that they feel like they're growing in your program and those things are happening for them. But it's hard the way the windows are set up and how demanding the season is to find time to say, okay, let's do exit interviews with everybody this week. It's just hard to make that occur whenever you have so many other things going on in the season. So you hope there's a good enough relationship that if a kid feels a certain way, he'll walk into your office and talk to you as a coach.
Yeah, you guys have had back-to-back transfer quarterbacks, and I was thinking about this today with all the recruiting stuff, and now you have the portal that you can mine. Do you think the days of developing quarterbacks in college football are dwindling?
No, not necessarily. And, I'd even argue that if you look at the way that the quarterbacks that we've taken have performed is they've really developed in our program. Maybe when they got here, it was a little bit different lens and a different time when they got here in their career, but that doesn't mean that Bo Nix wouldn't tell you that he developed a lot as a quarterback when he came here to Oregon. So I think development is still a premium. And if you look at players and see how they're playing in week one compared to how they're playing later in the season, I think that speaks to development on your roster. So does it look different? Yeah, it might look a little bit different. Were those guys here as freshmen? No, but neither was I when they were freshmen. So I think that could look different moving forward for us as well.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if, especially a program like Oregon that's really humming. I wonder how advantageous it would ever be when you have the portal and you have quarterbacks in the portal. How advantageous it would ever be to bring in a freshman that, I mean, and you recruit them, but I just mean starting a freshman seems to put you behind the eight ball more so than a transfer with experience, even though that transfer can obviously grow.
Yeah, you have to be a really special player to be able to play early, and then obviously everybody takes their lumps early in their career too. So, every situation is different, right? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Does it make sense in that scenario to be able to play a guy as a freshman, or give them an opportunity to sit and learn as well? And I think every player is different. I don't know that there's not a cookie cutter answer in that situation.
Yeah, I remember for me, like the light went off in between my second and third year, so my red shirt, going into my red shirt sophomore year, like everything slowed down and it was like, oh, like this is how you do it. But it does feel like nowadays kids are coming in more prepared than ever. But, it's like you said, that probably is is it even position by position? Are certain positions more apt to have success early?
Yeah, I definitely think there's some truth to there's some positions that are easier to play than others early on. But again, I've seen exceptions to the rule all the time.
Yeah. And as part of the recruiting process, are you going to promise backup O-linemen thick 6 touchdowns now? Because you're out doing bits. We're now throwing touchdowns to backup O-linemen. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know that we have to promise it, but we can just point to the proofs in the pudding, right? When you come here and you play, you might get an opportunity like that.
Can I ask, where does that come from? Like, I'm sitting there watching that. I'm not sure which I was like, oh my God, this is happening. The fake punt to a 300-pound defensive lineman deep in your own territory, or a record-breaking touchdown to a backup offensive lineman.
Yeah, we always try to be creative and find things that we think will be hard for the opponent. Some of those things we practice a long time, and almost all of them we describe, this is the perfect scenario that we would like this to happen in. And it's just unique that both those scenarios popped up in that game, and it worked out.
Well, Dylan got the record, and it was to him, so who gets the ball?
Yeah.
His only tutty.
Definitely Dylan's ball.
Definitely Dylan. Okay.
For now, right? Only tutty for now. I mean, now people are going to have to game plan Janoris when he's out there on the field, right?
So was there some sort of competition? Because we got the touchdown, you got the 2-point conversion, and the fake punt. I mean, is there some sort of big man hierarchy? Can we power rank the pride that comes along with each one of those big men carrying the ball?
I think every one of those guys was pretty jacked for their opportunity, so it worked out perfectly on Saturday.
Yeah, Birch, I mean, as far as impressive goes, I knew he was an athletic guy. I didn't know he could scoot like that.
You think that might be on his Mel Kiper? You think that might be on his Mel Kiper draft tape?
Absolutely. Like when you're talking about top end speed and the number one, like it's always weird to me when big guys wear single digits. He made it look good. He's out there looking like a tight end.
Yeah, he looks good in it.
Yeah.
This is Dan Lanning with us here. Now, Maryland, would you uneven performance? Is that an accurate description?
Yeah, I think there's definitely left out there that we can do better. there's growth moments that you want to have in every game, and we walked away with some things we can grow in that area.
How much, as a head coach, can you feel a performance like that coming?
I wouldn't say that we had like a bad week of prep or practice. There were some things that certainly could have been better, but I will say that like some of the penalties that showed up in the game, those are some of the same things that showed up in practice. So I'd say sometimes you can feel some of that. I don't know that you predict exactly what it'll look like.
Did I hear you say Wednesday that your defensive backs have been wearing boxing gloves this week?
They have, yeah.
And what is that for?
You can't grab people when you're wearing those.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Is that something you've done before, or is that a new wrinkle?
Yeah. No, that's definitely something we've done before.
Do they like it? Is that
No, they don't like it.
Yeah.
They definitely don't like it. But I don't like penalties either, so it's kind of how it works.
That's right.
I just was thinking if you put those on O linemen and D linemen, I just think we just end up punching each other. Maybe DBs are a little bit more refined.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they certainly don't enjoy it, but when you're getting a little too grabby, sometimes you have to try to paint a picture.
So what team that you've played this year does Wisconsin most resemble? Is there one, and what are their strengths?
Well, they have some similarities from schematically to what Maryland does offensively, with the RPO game and some of those things that they carry. Defensively, I don't know that we've played anybody that does just exactly what they do, but they're big up front on the offensive line. They've got some dynamic slot receivers and good backs. Defensively, I think they're really sound and definitely got some guys that can make plays up front, and their secondary are really good tacklers. So they have some talent. I don't think their record really reflects who they are. They've been hot and cold at times this year, but they certainly have some talent on their team.
We played a clip of Fran Brown. Did you coach with him at Georgia?
I didn't. I know Fran, but I've never coached with Fran.
Oh, okay. But you know him.
I shower regardless of the result after the game, but he makes a good point.
Yeah.
He makes a valid point.
He does. Okay. See, I knew you would say that. You're all about that. You guys are, I swear to God, college football coaches are all insane. Fran Brown said, for those who don't know, he said, I don't shower if I lose. So I didn't deserve the soap. Yeah. So I wanted to know, in order of intensity, can you power rank Fran, maybe Tosh, Dillingham, and Kirby?
Well, it'd be hard. I haven't coached with Fran. Tosh is definitely a different level of intensity. He carries that every day. I'd say Kirby as well. But I'd probably say Tosh, Kirby, and then Dillingham with those. Offensive guys aren't generally going to carry the same level of intensity as defensive guys, and I'd say Tosh and Kirby are both on the spectrum when it comes to crazy, when it comes to intensity.
That's a good point.
There is something about that. Yeah, it's like,
the defensive guys.
Yeah, it's the defensive guys. Yeah. Defensive linemen are always a little more off kilter than their offensive brethren.
That's right.
Is there a Kirby Smart stamp on your program? Something specific that he does that you brought?
There's a lot of things that we do here that I did there with Coach Smart. So I think it'd be hard to pick things that there's a ton. His blueprint's all over what we do because he's a guy that I learned directly from. And whether it's doing practice schedules or just even the ability to adapt what you do based on what you need to get better at. Those are all things that I took from Coach Smart.
And is he very similar to Saban since he coached under Saban? Is it kind of all the same, or are they
For sure.
two different?
Yeah, I'd say that there's a ton of similarities, but I think what makes both of those guys good is that their willingness to adapt and change. Whether it was Coach Saban changing offensive philosophies, in the midst of his career, or the way that we defend certain plays in Kirby's, career. So I think one of the staples of both those guys is their willingness to adapt and change based on situations and what your team needs are.
Yeah. One other question I had for you. I was thinking about your time at Georgia and your first 3 seasons there. Now, you did have the COVID season, but the 2 seasons before, you guys are really good, didn't quite get over the hump. In 2021, you did. What might you have learned from that journey about what it takes to seal the deal all the way through?
I think it takes a lot of things. Obviously you have to have a talented team and be adaptable as coaches to how people are attacking you and what they're doing. ability to create is really important. But it also takes some good fortune. It takes, being at the right place, the right time, guys being advantageous when the ball bounces up in the air and taking advantage of those moments. So I think it takes good luck. It takes a really talented team, and then you want to try to control all the controllables you can. A team that preps the right way, that practices the right way. We had a lot of those traits on that team in 2021.
You feel like you have those traits on this team, because it sure seems like it.
I think we have the capability to be a team like that, but it's certainly too early to say it'll all play out like that. Like I said, it takes some good fortune too. It takes the ball bouncing the right way. I mean, You think about that team in 2021, we got our butts whooped in the SEC championship game, right? And then we're still able to go on and become a national championship team. So there's a lot of football left to play here, and certainly the most important piece of that is us going to take care of business at Wisconsin.
Yep. True. All right. Thanks, Coach. We'll probably not talk to you next week. It's a bye week, so good luck at Wisconsin, and we'll talk to you down the road. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good. Have a good one.
All right. We will.
Jump around.
We will, damn it.
You're planting your flag on that. We are going to have a good one.
You know what? We are.
Yes. It's no Wednesday, but,
No.
We'll do what we can.
Thursday's a different vibe.
I mean, then we get into Friday, and, it's a whole other ball game.
Fran Brown, I don't deserve soap.
Yeah. Hey, you got
He brings up a great point. It's one that I had never thought of, is that we talk about these coaches like they're all insane, because they are. It's really the defensive guys that are the worst.
I will say that of all the coaches that I've been around, the defensive guy, I mean, Gruden was freaking nuts.
Defensive guy?
No, Gruden's an offensive guy.
Oh, is he an offensive guy?
Yeah, he's an offensive guy.
He seems like a defensive
Spider 2Y banana.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
that's
it was a different
Quarterback school,
It was a different level of insanity in that it was controlled. The guy that's losing his ass almost always is the defense. Like,
defense.
I think they're both insane. It's two different types of insane, though. Like, you get the offensive guy tends to be like more like mad scientist type,
like
and then
Dillingham.
the defensive guy is just a wild man.
Yeah, and
That's right. Offensive guys are smarter.
Yeah, and defensive guys are just.
I should have asked him that.
They're just angry, and they're just.
Well, they react. The other ones are the ones who plan and plot, and then the defense reacts.
Correct.
And remember, it wasn't me that said this. This was Deion Sanders. Remember when he was talking about what he looks for in a quarterback and what he looks for in a defensive lineman?
No.
Oh yeah.
He said from a quarterback he wants a loving family, 2-parent home, all that.
Seriously.
And he did. And he said with the
D-line,
he wants the broken
drama
home. Yeah,
and
just
like single moms,
trauma.
the whole thing.
It's true.
Oh my god.
Look, there's a reason why like Tom Brady is Tom Brady and like Charles Haley is Charles Haley. Like Lawrence Taylor, in my opinion, is the greatest defensive player of all time.
Yeah.
Okay, changed the game. Joe Gibbs invented a defense to deal with Lawrence Taylor. I'm not sure if you're aware of what Lawrence Taylor has going on in his personal life, but nothing is good.
Isn't he in jail?
I think he's out of jail now. I think he's been in jail. But you can't be Lawrence Taylor and play quarterback. You can be Lawrence Taylor and be the greatest defensive player.
And just say, hey, go get the quarterback.
Yes.
That's Mike Tyson. They were talking about him and his upbringing in Brooklyn.
It's bad.
It was really bad.
Yes.
And, you see why he is the way he is.
Yes.
All right.
I don't know if you know this about MMA and boxers, but a lot of the great ones, and by a lot, I mean all of them, none of them came from upper, like wealthy to do.
They all started fighting because they had to, and they were kids.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what Tyson said. He said they took him he went to the spot of his first fight, and he said, that's when I knew I had to fight. Yeah. Some guy took his birds. He's a bird guy. He's a big
pigeon guy.
Some guy stole him and told him to F off and called him the N-word. Yeah. And he said, all right,
we're going to do this.
I'm going to kick your ass. And he knew that's from that point on, he knew he had to fight.
And it started at like 12 and 13.
Yeah, he was
and by the time he was 15, he was already known around the country as like the most terrifying young boxer.
It's weird to look at old tape of him. He was like, when he was kicking some ass, he was like 20. Yeah. He was so
he was
young.
Really young.
He didn't look that young, but he was.
And then he burned out because obviously like once Custom Auto died, it's a whole
and you have rape.
Yeah,
you have 3 years in prison.
And massive coke issues.
Yeah, somebody asked me, they were like, why does Tyson get a pass on all of his rape stuff?
I talk about it all the time.
Well, I mean, yes, but he did serve time.
Yes, he did.
There's a big distinction there.
But he's become this lovable figure, and he is not.
No, he's a horrible guy.
He's a horrible person, but I don't know, for whatever reason, people relate to him, and we
He's
love.
like Martha Stewart.
Did you hear the interview that's been going viral, the one that he did with the child reporter for this fight?
No.
Okay, so we have that if you want it. It's about a minute.
I do.
But basically, there's a child reporter there, and they're asking Mike about his legacy, and it's as if he doesn't realize that this is just a kid interviewing him, and this is what that sounds like.
Well, in your return to the ring for this fight, you are setting a monumental opportunity for kids my age to see the legend Mike Tyson in the ring for the first time. So after such a successful career, what type of legacy would you like to leave behind when it's all said and done?
Well, I don't know. I don't believe in the word legacy. I just think that's another word for ego. Legacy doesn't mean nothing. That's just some word everybody grabbed onto. Someone said that word and everyone grabbed on the word, so now it's used every 5 seconds. It means absolutely nothing to me. I'm just passing through. I'm going to die, and it's going to be over. Who cares about legacy after that? What a big ego. So I'm going to die. I want people to think that I'm this, I'm great. No, we're nothing. We're just dead. We're dust.
Boy,
We're absolutely nothing.
I agree with him.
Our legacy is nothing.
You think it's a kid, Mike?
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That is something that I have not heard before, someone say that as an answer.
Can you really imagine somebody say, I want my legacy to be this way when you're dead? Why do you want somebody to, you think somebody really wants to think about you? What's the audacity? I think, I want people to think about me when I'm gone. Who the cares about me when I'm gone?
Oh my God.
My kids, maybe, or grandkids. Who the
True.
cares?
That's the greatest thing I've ever heard.
I've said it before. I just do not understand why people gravitate towards Mike Tyson.
He is a very interesting figure.
I just don't get it.
He really is. All right. I would say wait. Dan Lanning's appearance is here on The Fan, brought to you by Unitas Community Credit Union. Like a coach's playbook, Unitas has a winning strategy for your finances. Unitas.